bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
Institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by
by
bit.
Good afternoon. We are back on the Bit by Bit show to discuss our professional discussion, especially when it comes to the environmental issues. But before we introduce our topic, I'm going to go to my co-host to introduce herself.
I'm Martina J. Rogers, his co-host.
Martina J. Rogers. So what does your name again? Your social name, Tense?
Yeah.
Okay. And you are speaking with Murphy Absorb Newville. Today, from our point of discussion, we'll be discussing on environmental impact, pollution and environmental impact. Tense. Today, like every other day, right? You know, this thing is serious in our country, right? Where when you going around in various communities, let's take example, we go across, there's a community that the president faced the road, what you call the place? Joe community.
Okay.
Look, if you see the way people handle their waste, their garbage, it kind of alarming, you know. Have you ever seen anything of such?
Right now, I'm facing similar situation where I lived.
Okay.
I live around the Bangastown FE, so I have some issue there with the drainage issue.
Okay.
Yeah, the waterway is not really kind of open. People build houses all around the place. So at the end of the day, when the rain falls heavy, I mean like when it rains heavily, like the road leading to my house is very messed up.
Wow.
Yeah, so sometimes you literally have to take off your footwear from your feet, and then sometimes walk into the water before getting to my house.
Wow. So you mean the actual road leads to your house is not paved?
Yeah, it's not paved.
So are you like, is it like down the ditch where water comes from other areas and go down the slope?
Yeah.
And whenever people are in such an environment, it's not looking too good, most especially when it comes to the way we handle situation in terms of pollution. Because if you notice, there are some people, I'm sorry to say, but it's kind of crazy, you know. There are some people who normally, they don't know how to manage their waste. I don't know whether I should take it from the governmental level or to just look at it from the individual basic. That's not everything that government has to come in to tell you, even though it's government role to tell you how to manage your waste. But there are some people who always like to violate, even if there's a law on the book.
Yeah, definitely.
You understand? People take advantage of rain when rain falls, so they take their garbage and throw it in whatever water that they see passing about.
Yeah.
So I know if you know environment where you down the slope, most time you have effect.
So when
Do you experience anything of such?
I don't experience something of such, but I really think like everybody is involved, right? Both the government and the people.
Okay.
Because you cannot have yourself living in a community and you endangering yourself.
Seriously?
Yeah, because
it's very
I feel like if you are taking part in that kind of destruction, yeah, you actually destroying your own life. Because the dirt you throw into that water right beside your house, you actually infesting mosquitoes.
That's one key point, mosquito.
Not only that, the water, the food you cook, the flies. Because now, like, especially around this time, if you notice, around the house, you find flies all around the place.
Okay.
And these flies kind of around you when you're preparing your food. It really kind of disgusting finding yourself, in that situation where you're preparing your food, your meal after doing everything, and then you find flies all around the place.
So in some sense, if you do not take care of your waste properly,
Definitely.
so it pollutes the environment, and then if the
That's
environment
something for
gets
sure.
polluted, then it's bad for your health. That's the main reason why we are expecting our guest. He's a environmental specialist, so he's going to come on the show today. He's going to give a more explanation and on how we handle our waste, and then when he gets here, we'll get in detail on this particular topic, environmental pollution. So we're going to take our break. When we get back, then we're going to usher our guests.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the zogos, the zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the zogos, the zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the zogos, the zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion
that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by
by
bit.
Welcome back, people. Just to keep you reminded, we are on Facebook. You can follow us by the name of Boss TV, the Boss with the triple S. You can also follow us on YouTube. Thanks. We are back in studio with our guest, in presence of Mr.
About immigrant.
Well, you better introduce himself.
Okay, good evening. My name is About immigrant. I'm an environmentalist and a public health practitioner.
That's all you got for us?
I work with the EPA on a project called the Monrovia Metropolitan Climate Resilient Project. We are working with the Coastal Defense in West Point and other communities.
Okay. Since you heard that.
Yeah.
Just before the guests came in, we were actually discussing on the environmental issues, especially when it comes to the impact on environmental public pollution. So Mr. Grant is a specialist when it comes to this area. So we're going to give him an opportunity to really explain to us the impact that it has, especially when it comes to pollution. Mr. Grant.
Thank you for having me again. Environmental pollution is a serious problem. It stems from three different sources. We have air quality or air pollution, we have water pollution, and soil contamination or soil pollution. So those are the three frontiers by which we can experience public health emergencies when it comes to environmental impacts. So for our country, Liberia, soil pollution is not a major problem because we are not involved into agriculture that is using synthetic fertilizer. Our main problem has to do with air quality and water pollution. So that is the two frontiers from which we really experience environmental pollution.
Okay.
And in this regard, we look at it both ways. It's either by natural means or by man-made activities. So the first one I want to deal with probably might be water pollution.
Okay.
So once you hear the word pollution, it means any unwanted substance that is introduced into the environment. So once it's not needed in the environment, it becomes a pollution. So take for example, we do open burning in Liberia. We burn most of our garbage. We have a lot of old cars around here emitting carbon monoxide into the environment. So that is a form of pollution. And it's very, very important and very serious. Like I said, I will be dealing with water pollution first. So in case of water pollution, there are two kinds. We have underground water pollution, we have surface pollution. So normally underground water pollution happens when we have sewage. You know, most of our pipelines are beneath.
Yeah, septic tank.
Yeah, and most of us have septic tanks. There is no sewage system in Liberia.
Yeah.
Most of the homes have single septic tanks. So when those septic tanks leak, then you have underground water pollution. Now you don't see it.
Is it when a septic tank leaks? How about people doing septic tank and not doing the flow of the septic tank?
Yeah.
So does it have
So
an impact also?
they have a sump. Normally they construct the septic tank and they have a sump, a little hole
Okay.
that is used for draining the water. So when the septic tank is constructed the right way, it doesn't need that.
But that's the one. That's the part I'm talking about, right? In the case where you leave a space to drain down the water, and you have a compound, right? Just say a one lot of land, So if you have a situation where you left a space to drain down the water, and then somebody has a well in the same yard where you take water from to cook and do other stuff.
So environmentally, there are means by which we tell people how to construct a septic tank and how to place a septic tank from a well.
Okay.
We have measurements that we use. So normally we tell you about upgrading and downgrading. So you're an engineer. So if your land is slanting, for instance, if your land is like this,
Yeah.
so the engineer normally tells you, look, you got to put your septic tank down and your well up. Because if your well is up, the septic tank is already polluted, so the well water cannot pollute the septic tank.
Because the well is up.
Yeah,
So
but if you put your septic tank up and your well is down, then you have water from your septic tank, that is your sewage, flow into your water, and that can create a serious health hazard.
Okay.
Somebody can come down with diarrhea, cholera,
Okay.
dysentery, and water fever.
yeah, we'll
Mr.
come.
Grant, I thank you for actually saying what you had to say about the water. But looking at Liberia, we know that we are surrounded by a lot of water. I mean, like the sea, it's everywhere. Looking at the Do River, what EPA is really doing about that?
So we know there are a lot of houses on the fringes of the Do River.
Yeah.
Most people have what we call open sewage flowing into the Do River.
Exactly.
Like I said, we had a sewage system before
Alright.
that ran from across the bridge, that is Amogachi area, up to Fiamma. Okay, that was the length of our sewage system. But then when the crisis came, the 1990 crisis, I mean, all of the system got broken down. So most people living just by the fringes of the wetlands, what they do, they extend their sewage pipes into the wetland. Environmentally, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
And the EPA has been working with communities to see how best that can be, reverted, because it poses a serious problem to us.
Okay.
Don't forget, most of our rivers, they are linked. They are tributaries, and they flow into the Atlantic Ocean. And we are now talking about blue economy. We want to protect the oceans, So that alone is environmental pollution. We are polluting the ocean with sewage water. And when you have enough sewage, the sewage comes with what we call nutrients. Because your feces contains different minerals. Your urine contains different. You have uric acid, you have nitrogen, you have phosphate. So when you have too much of nutrients in the water, we got something we call algae bloom.
Okay.
So certain time of the year, you see these blue things floating on top of the water. They are algae. So when you have too much of sewage or too much nutrients in the water, it creates algae bloom. So it's a problem because some people use the water for other purpose. So we are working frantically with the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation and communities to ensure that we do the right thing, but it's tough.
So how about NAFA? Is that the name, NAFA?
The National Aquaculture and Fishery Authority, yes, because we
so
get
are
our
you people
fishes.
working in line with them too?
EPA work with all ministries and agencies,
Okay.
both private
And they are actively
and government.
involved.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is this instance too, even though we're talking about water, but this, I think it's a old age thing around the water side. And
You mean the Do River?
no, not the
river
river,
bank?
but I'm
Dumping of
talking not only the dumping of garbage, the pipeline you're talking about, like around water side, you find the feces coming out.
You're talking about the drainage system.
Yeah, it's also it's something that I can say an old age thing. We've been seeing it a lot.
You're talking to the drainages is because of improper waste management. That's all. Once we have proper
Because-
management in place for
Exactly.
waste, you won't have the drainages.
Exactly.
talking.
I would tend to agree with you because if you look at, for example, old Matadi Estate and new Matadi, right? They had the sewage system constructed in a way that they were all underground. So you have a soakaway area that channels it to the sites at Fiamma, the factory. So because these things are not into place right now, so are you saying that some of the reason why we're having some pollution problem when it comes to water pollution?
Yeah, especially surface water pollution. So if you go around into our makeshift communities,
Okay.
so I don't want to So let's say West Point, Newtown, Dole community, all of these communities that are clustered together, right? You have what we call shallow wells,
Okay.
and most of them are in waterlogged area. So what happens when it rains and the place is flooded? So you have water from the surrounding now go into the surface water, that is the open well.
Okay.
You and I, we are grown ups, so when we are thirsty, we know better to go and buy a bottle of water
Bottled water.
or plastic water, right? Sachet water.
Yeah.
But the little ones who comes from playing and they run into the house and no one is there to give them safe drinking water, and probably we went to the well, we fetch water for using kitchen or washing, and the kids go and see it or drink it. And once they drink it, they
So
experience health problems.
definitely. So what you also have to say about the plastic waste, because I'm still kind of going back again to the same Do River, because looking at where Do River is situated is a historical place that if Liberia should focus on, we can also generate revenue from that direction too. I don't know if they really focus on it. So, like when you look at the river bank, you find plastic all around, the place. What are you guys also doing about
So plastic
waste
pollution
management?
is a new thing. Both of us or three of us were probably very little or were not born at the time. So prior to 1990, plastic was hardly used.
No.
My grandma used to tell me when you get to the market to buy your pepper, your bitter ball, you use the paper, they fold it somehow, and put your pepper in just you won't mark it back. But after the war, plastic proliferation started. Now, so plastic is non biodegradable. They don't biodegrade. They stay 100 years or 100 plus years, depending on the type of plastic that we have.
So what is EPA doing in that
So
direction?
this is not only a government thing. This is both government and private sector.
Yeah.
So EPA has been working along with partners. We just had a meeting with the World Bank a few weeks ago. So we're calling it circular economy. So we are trying to bring in people who will recycle the plastic. Other countries' plastic is not considered as a waste. It's considered as wealth. So your used bottle, your used plastic is transformed into polythene, plastic chairs, plastic top. So they have other use, or pavement brick, for instance. So I was fortunate to have gone Accra a few years ago, and I visited one of the sites, local site. And this guy was collecting plastic bags from all over Accra and melting it and mixing it with sand, and fixing bricks. So as a pilot project, they use those bricks in a community to face road. It is far more durable than a kuta.
Okay.
Yes, because they are water soluble. The water don't penetrate easily. So we could have a government giving funding to private citizens to a pilot project. Public Works is fixing roads. Look at most of the roads, there is no shoulders, there is no sidewalk.
That's one major thing.
Rather than putting concrete on the sidewalk, because most of the sidewalks, there where you have the utility lines, your electricity, your telecommunication, your water line. So instead of you just paving it, what you do, you put the sand, you level and put the pavement brick. When there is a problem, what you do, you remove the pavement brick, do your work there, and put the pavement brick. But as it is now, look around the street. Water and sewer busting the streets and leaving all of the concrete waste on the street rather than removing it.
So I want to agree with you when it comes to how other countries uses the waste to generate huge revenue. Because for an example, right, if you look at the stuff we have in Liberia, the keke, if you look at keke, the seats in keke is complete recycled material from garbage. Just one day ask the driver or pay attention when you sit at the back of the keke behind the driver. Look at the board, the one the driver lays on, right? Look at the board, you see combination of garbage. So in that light, I would like to agree with you on that. But when it comes to our own country, is there any mechanism that is put into place to mitigate the issue of garbage pollution in our country?
So like I said, we're talking about circular economy. So there is a public-private partnership.
Okay.
So the government and private sector should be able to work together. The government should provide a space so the private sector can flourish.
Okay.
So if I have a mini company, for instance, right, and I'm involved into recycling,
Okay.
so the government should be telling me, okay, Grant, we are fixing Fifth Street, and we need 5,000 pavement bricks from you. So I collect my plastic, collect my sand, make my bricks, and I sell it to the government. Government buys. So it's empowerment. So I too, I will be able to employ people. At the same time, I'm picking garbage from on the street. So that's the public-private partnership. But government must provide the incentive. There must be good laws on the book, which you don't have. We just started working on the plastic management policy of Liberia,
Okay.
which will form part of the integrated waste management policy of Liberia. So we already started working on that. So we have our partners, the European Union, the World Bank. They are giving what we call small grants and loans to private citizens, but government needs to do more. There must be a lot of public awareness out there. Most of these universities have environmental programs. So you could give one of the universities, let's say, $50 million or $50,000, for instance.
For research?
Begin to do something.
It's commonly done in other countries.
Exactly, so that's empowerment.
Invest so much money in
That's
the
empowerment.
university to do research on different areas of life.
That's empowerment.
Okay.
So you give people have ideas, but you do not have the funding. I have good ideas.
I'm not sure you say total want to pass. Locally, we say
I have
total
good
want to pass
ideas,
for the
but
research.
I don't have the funding.
Okay.
So my ideas are with me. Okay, so if I'm in power, it's an exchange between the government and I, or the private sector and myself. You give me the money.
How
I
much
deliver.
empowerment do you want? How much of empowerment do you want?
When I speak about empowerment, I talk about logistics. To run a recycling facility is not a small thing. First and foremost, you need a site.
Okay.
You need a site that will be accepted by the EPA. That's the first thing. After having a site, you need to have the equipment. You need to have a smelting machine. You need to have a grinding machine. You need to have a shredding machine. And most of these things, they need constant power. And you and I know electricity is a problem in our country.
Then why not go for solar?
Some of these machines, solar can pick them up.
Okay.
Okay. So in short, are you trying to tell us that the government through the EPA is not working?
They are working.
But if they are not empowering people to
They
do
are
all
working.
these things that you listed,
Yeah, there
how
are
they
people,
working?
there are companies currently in Liberia that is dealing in plastic waste.
Through the instrumentality of EPA.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
We have one company called Evergreen. Evergreen is transforming plastic bags into diesel fuel.
Wow. So tell us about that.
I
Just
still want
on
to
the
ask
surface.
you again, can just a company do everything for Liberia?
No, that's why I said public-private partnership.
So yes,
The government cannot work without the private sector. Nor can the private sector work without the government.
definitely that's
So
true.
the government, in most countries, the government lay the rules,
Okay.
Yeah. and
develop
enforce it.
policies. Okay, I'll give an example. So in Ghana, the Ghanaian government is not investing into waste directly. No,
Okay.
what the government did was to empower companies like Zoom Lion, for instance. So Zoom Lion is a private company, took loan from the bank, bought his equipment, and started running. So the government said, okay, we are challenged with waste management in maybe Teman, for instance. So Zoom Lion said, okay, I will manage Teman. So the government, Zoom Lion goes into agreement. Government paying his money, he uses his equipment, he clears the waste. When it's time to fix his equipment, he has money. When it's time to pay his workers, he has his money. When he defaults on his agreement, then the government comes and says, the government, we pay you money and you're not taking up the waste.
So
So we carry the cook and we pay our
in
money.
nutshell, he just serves as the implementing
The
partner
government has
for
what
the
we
government.
call competing priorities. Government can do all, but the government can create an avenue for private sector to flourish.
Because the same thing is happening in the same Ghana if you go to Takrade, there's a man called Kweku Innis, right? He's also involved into waste management. He makes a lot of money from that. What can we Liberians?
When last we went Rela market or Ominga market?
Or I normally don't like.
When last we went Nancy market or Jokwetown market right in Singapore? So go Jokwetown market right now. You see the stockpile of garbage there.
Oh, wow.
So they are waiting for the MCC to collect. And Jokwetown market is not the only market. We have several marketplaces, and you and I know the marketplaces in Liberia generate more waste. And the reason why we are generating more waste because we are not separating our waste. Because not all waste should be thrown aside.
Okay.
Take for example, your potato green stem, your fresh goods. All of those things can be transformed into compost that we can use for fertilizer. Plastic bags can be sent to the recycling facility. Other waste like soda cans and things can be sent to jetty, for instance, for recycling.
Okay.
For smelting, you face steel. The other ways that we don't have use for, we send to the landfill site. But these things will only work when you have the infrastructure in place. The entire country will have 2 transfer stations. Staunton Creek and Fiamma. We said transfer, we did not say.
So Staunton Creek is that the one?
Staunton Creek is the one to Gardnersville.
It doesn't look very active.
They do, but what happens is that you won't see them working in the day. In the day, you only find smaller trucks or your keke carrying the waste there. At night, the bigger trucks get there.
But you have people living in that environment. And the last time I passed there, I saw the garbage. It's just open environment.
The intent of the transfer station was not to keep waste over time.
Is it not posing danger to the people that live around
The
there?
intent of the transfer station was not to keep waste for 2, 3,
But
4 days or 1 week.
It is being kept there.
So we have communities, and community roads are congested, very small.
Okay.
So you cannot have the bigger trucks going into the communities.
Okay.
So what they did was to build the transfer station.
Alright.
So in a day, the keke, the guys who use the push, they go into the communities, they collect the waste, and they take it to the skip bucket. We have skip bucket placed strategically in different communities.
Okay.
So when the skip buckets gets full, then MCC move in with the dump trucks, right? Lift the skip buckets and carry to the transfer station because they are small. At night, when the traffic is less, when the traffic is a little bit free, the bigger trucks go in, clear the transfer station, and take the garbage to Wintown. That was the true intent of the transfer station.
Oh, Mr. Graham, we are live on Facebook, and we are also live on Satcom Boss TV Channel 4, right? I just received a text message from somebody who's watching, right? He's trying to ask this question. He want me to put this question through for him, right? He wants to know the best way that we can handle our waste, excluding involvement of government. Individually, how can we handle our waste? What's the best way? He's asking. He wants to know.
So we have 2 groups of people dealing with waste.
Okay.
Or we have 2 ways of dealing with waste. We have the primary waste collection and we have the secondary waste collection, right? So in most countries, the primary waste is being dealt with private citizens. So we have NC Senators, right? We have HISA. We have other waste management companies around here, right? So they are empowered to go into communities and collect the waste. And you pay them.
So you need more people like Tens. The other day she was telling me she had this idea about creating her own waste management or mini company into a community. She tried to discuss that with me. So if she wants to do such initiative, she wants to put up the kind of initiative, what kind of assistance would she receive from you people?
So the first thing is she needs to register with whatever city she finds herself. So let's assume she lives in Monrovia, right? So she needs to go to the MCC and she register as a community-based enterprise.
Okay. She
So
won't pay for
normally,
that?
yeah, it's not free. So community-based enterprise has to deal with people who do not have big equipment like trucks and what have you.
Okay.
So they deal with the keke, they deal with the push. So they go to the MCC and they register as a waste service provider. But then you have to be clear on which community you are working in. Now you do that. Then you go to the EPA as well and register. For CDE, it's just $100 for the whole year. So you pay $100 now, you pay the next time, will be next year time like this. Okay? So you register as a CBE and you have your area of control. Now you can go door to door and tell the residents, look, I'm involved into waste management, I want to collect your garbage. By right, you shouldn't be going. By right, the government should mandate people, the city must mandate somebody that, look, you must give your waste to X, Y, and Z company. Because at the end of the day, the city government will monitor the service provider who is collecting the waste, as well as monitor people who are giving the waste to the service provider. Are we there?
Yeah.
So the awareness is created. You move into the community, you tell the people, hey, if I want to get involved into waste management, that is exactly what I want to do. To even make my work easy, each household I will give them 3 bags.
Okay.
One for plastic, one for perishable goods, one for other waste. That way make the waste management process very easy. I don't have to be sorting through. I go to the house, I collect your plastic waste, I know where I carry it. I collect your rotten food, your potato green steam, your cassava, your rotten fruits, I know where to take it. I collect your cans, your whatsoever, your tree branches, I know where to take it. So you make the waste management process easy.
So, I do have issue with the out of you saying that the government is actually helping in the situation, because I feel like personally, because I think 2 or 3 days ago on Post TV News, the issue you talked about the Omega issue, the dirt collection. So if EPA is really working, I feel like EPA will go to the marketers, have a talk with them, in that they could differentiate the garbage, that of which you already doing here, that you said earlier. And if that is done, if I sell fish in the market, right, I know where to carry my garbage. If I sell, for example, maybe plastic and other stuff, I know where to carry my
So
garbage.
you should have a designated site for every type
So,
of...
Yes.
just to
I think
correct
it'll be a
you,
little high.
the EPA is not an implementing agency.
Yeah.
The EPA does not implement.
Okay.
The EPA is there for monitoring,
Okay.
okay, supervision. So you should be saying the city government should be telling the people, not the EPA. The EPA only make the laws and pass the law to.
They are there for monitoring.
Yeah, so we monitor. So if there is a problem in the market, we go to the city government
Okay.
and work along with the city government and sanitation department to ensure that the things are
Work
done.
along with the city government. This is a bit by bit show. We're going to leave you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to take our break. When we get back, we're going to go on the aspect that talks about the effect. How does it affect individual in the environment? So we're going to take our break. When we get back, we're going to go to that point.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by
by
bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, It's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit by
bit.
bit.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, you can watch us on Buzz TV, Satcom, Channel 4. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just say Buzz TV, the Buzz with the triple S. So, Mr. Grant, before we talk about break, what we concluded, and I said that when we come back, we want to look at the component that has to do with the impact. How does it affect the people in the environment? So maybe she wants to say something.
Yeah, I would definitely want to say something. So Mr. Grant did make a statement that the EPA is there for monitoring whatsoever that is going on. They just go and look. So if you guys are monitoring, so you want to tell me that you haven't seen what I actually stated before to you as an issue to recommend to the government to actually work on?
So we have what we call the Interministerial Technical Committee on Waste Management.
Okay.
That committee comprises of the EPA, the Ministry of Health,
Okay.
the National Wash Commission, the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The Ministry of Internal Affairs oversee all of the major cities in Liberia. So the MCC, the PCC, the GCC, they all fall under the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
Because it deals with boundary and harmonization.
Yeah, they deal with local government.
Okay.
Then we have the Ministry of Commerce, right? Because they deal with food products. So every now and then we meet and we discuss issues pertinent to proper waste management. And one thing that always rings a bell or come out in our discussion is the issue of logistics. The issue of logistics. And we're talking about financing.
Okay.
We're talking about equipment. We're talking about infrastructure.
Okay.
So, like I said, we have two transfer stations. We have one landfill site that is outdated already. We are constructing a second landfill site at Cheesemanburg. That is not completed yet.
When you say landfill, what do you mean? Somebody in the market that will come from home and watch it repeat. She may not understand what you mean.
So a landfill is a engineering site that is actually constructed to manage waste.
Okay.
So at the landfill site is clear. There are several what we call pits being dug. Those pits are lined with geotextile. On the geotextile or geomembrane, we have pipings. So when we dump your waste in a cell,
Okay.
so the waste is there, but then under the geomembrane, like I said, there are piping. So water from your waste, we call them leachate. They are collected and transferred to the leachate pond because that water is very toxic. It's highly contagious, right? So that's what we call an engineering landfill. That's how landfills are constructed. The ones you have in your community where you just dump in a dump site. So there's a difference between a dump site and a landfill site. So once the cells are full, right, then we cover it again with a geotextile and plant trees on it so it's there for years.
Okay, another thing when it comes to managing waste, way back in school, there was what I learned in terms of shifting cultivation. I don't know if you learned that.
Shifting cultivation is agriculture and it's wrong for the
agriculture.
environment.
So when you deal with shifting
We are now
cultivation
discouraging
of bush-
shifting cultivation of bush fallow.
Yeah, shifting cultivation of bush fallow. So it's wrong.
Yes, we are
It's
trying to
not
protect our
advisable.
forest right now, so we trying to discourage shifting cultivation.
Okay, straight to my question, Mr. Kerns. How does pollution affect our health?
Oh wow, that's a big question.
Because we all do pollution everywhere, but we do not know how well.
So the different kinds of pollution have different impacts on the environment or on people.
Tell us about it.
So take for example, you have air pollution.
Okay.
We are currently dealing with climate change, global warming. If you're watching the news lately, you see that there is heavy fire in Greece, there is flooding in Iraq, there is fire in different parts of the world, even in the United States. So there is a result of what we call air pollution.
Okay.
So we have a lot of companies producing greenhouse gases. We ourselves in Africa, Liberia, we are producing greenhouse gases. Take for example, all of the waste that we are dumping around, they are emitting what we call methane gas. And methane gas is a greenhouse gas. People are doing open burning.
Yeah, that's common in Liberia.
Very common. Then we have vehicles that were manufactured since 1985. We are shape breaking it into Liberia. So they are producing carbon monoxide as well.
Okay.
So all of those gases build up into the environment and it causes global warming.
You just said something. You mentioned about cars, right? That over maybe 10 years and so. If it is harmful, if I get you right, if it is harmful, then why is government allowing the cars to come to the country? Because there are cars that come to the country when above 10 years, government put fine on it. That's all that happens. Government put fine on it and you pay the fine and free the car and use the car. So are you saying to me or to the audience that because the car is or was manufactured X amount of years ago, so it shouldn't come to the country, it's not good for you?
So,
if I get you clear.
Years back, one key component we had in our gasoline was lead.
Okay.
L-E-A-D, lead.
Okay.
Even the pencil we used to write it when we were children,
Yeah.
the black stuff was lead. Over the years, scientists went to work and they discovered that the lead was actually poisonous to humans and the environment. We even had lead in our paint that we were painting in our homes.
Okay.
So we went to work and lead has been banned. Lead is an international banned substance. So if you went to your car now, you open your gasoline tank, just look, then you see use unleaded fuel, which means the fuel you are using should not contain lead.
Tense. See what you just did.
Yeah.
You are taking it back. I've never
The
heard
the pencils that are being brought in now, they are not using lead anymore, they are using graphite.
Okay.
Now some of those cars that we are breaking were built 1980. It's cheaper. You know the West have a way of using Africa as a dump site.
That's true.
So things they don't need, they send it at a cheaper cost and we buy it because we want them. So some of those cars, the catalytic function are different, so they consume more gas, there is more buildup, and those cars, rather than have what we call complete combustion, they are now having incomplete combustion, thereby producing carbon monoxide, which is not good for the environment.
Okay.
At the same time, we are felling our trees. We still have more people using firewood or fire coal. So all of those things contribute to air pollution. Now, we battle from respiratory disorder. We have children that are asthmatic.
Okay.
We have influenza, we have common cold, all of these things contribute, to some people have what we call skin cancer.
Right.
And we're interested to know that, and for somewhere in Africa, skin cancer is not a problem, maybe because of the pigmentation of our skin. We have melanin in our skin.
Yeah.
But for Europe, it's different. So air pollution can create a lot of health problems for pregnant women as well.
Wow.
Then you have water pollution, the issue of diarrhea, cholera, dysentery.
And these are things
These
that
are all
come in Africa.
waterborne diseases, malaria, typhoid. Someone was coming up, I used to hear people say that you drink too much beer will give you malaria.
Is that true?
So I went to school, I did biology with the hope of going medical school. Unfortunately, I did not go medical school, but I did my master's in public health. And I came to the realization that drinking beer does not give you malaria. You rather get malaria from mosquito bites.
Okay.
So you sit down outside, you drink your beer, but the mosquito is biting you. So the female anopheles mosquito is actually giving you malaria. So because you have dirty water all around, the environment is not clean. Once the water is stagnated, that's a good breeding ground for the mosquito, because the mosquito give birth or lay her eggs on dirty water, dirty environment. So water pollution will give you cholera, diarrhea, waterborne diseases, skin rashes, and all of these things. So those are some of the problems that we have. Climate or greenhouse gas, climate warming or climate change lead to flooding. We're seeing flooding all over the world now. High sea level rise and all of these things, extreme heat, all of these things all come from air pollution.
Shirley, I don't know if you kind of noticed this. I think 2 or 3 years back, there was this rashes that would come on the children. They call it B serious.
Be serious.
Yeah, like it come on them, and then you heard of it, right?
I know about dishcloth.
No, the B serious, it really can itch. So like, if you touch me, if affected by it, and you touch me, at the end of the day you will get it. So you even notice that even adults were being infected with that particular rash disease, and it really became something serious in Liberia in 2 or 3 years.
So are you insinuating that pollution may
Yeah,
be
it
some
was
of
the cause
cause?
of it.
Okay.
And I'm
Look at
even
the cause.
expecting him to even know about it, because it was really, really alarming. You will see the rashes coming on the children with paws under it, and at the end of the day, like, you will have to go to the hospital, continuously treat it, and even stop the children from playing with one another.
So she stressed a serious point that this skin rashes.
You have different types of
Should
skin
we
rashes.
attribute it to
You got malazizi fofo, that we call dishcloth. You got ringworm. You got pitrosis. You got malazizi fofo. That's a scientific name for dishcloth.
Wow.
Okay.
I've just learned something today. That's why it's always good to have an expert when you having such a conversation, so you'll be enlightening.
So you have different skin rashes, different degree. So most of them can be treated by broad spectrum antibiotics.
And most time we the locals, right? We often burn our garbage, or sometimes we live in an environment where you see people burning dirt, and you want to raise concern about it. And then in Liberia, people try to take it different. Like, why you want to prove? And you think he's who? He's the only person who lives here.
So burning garbage.
Kind of thing. So what approach you advise me to take, or you advise people on the
burning
TV?
garbage is not a good thing. When you burn garbage, you release 2 major poisons into the environment.
So what do I need to do?
You release dioxins, that is cancer causing.
Okay.
You also release fluorine. They 2 contribute also to global warming and climate change. So it is advisable not to burn your waste. It's also advisable not to bury your waste.
Okay.
Because if you bury your waste, you'll be creating underground water pollution as well.
Okay.
So the best thing to do is to subscribe to a waste management system.
Okay.
Let the people who are trained in handling waste collect your waste.
But it also still does not change anything. The reason why I'm saying this, because our waste management side are overwhelmed. So if I subscribe to
at least the site is localized. Everything is going in one place. Then you having spot. Look, we are getting better as a country.
Okay.
You think so?
Yes, and also we are getting better as a country. All we need to do is to continuously create the awareness, right?
Okay.
Create the awareness so people can understand. People are lack of knowledge that why they're doing the things they are doing.
Okay.
We just need that constant awareness, okay?
Constant awareness.
And let there be public-private sector partnership. Let the government come up with a loan scheme or a grant scheme. Look, I will tell you, when I was the senior waste management officer at the EPA, the European Union had a project called City Alliance Project.
Yeah, I heard that.
That project was giving loan to community-based enterprise. Some people got 10,000, some people got 15,000, some people got no. They are working.
They're already working?
Yes, it's a revolving fund.
Is the work being done in special community or across?
That's what I'm saying. It's being done in community. So if you are a CBE, you are registered CBE, You go to MCC, tell them, look, I'm a CDE, I work in this community. So in order to get that loan or that grant, a team will have to visit your office.
Okay.
The team comprised of the EPA, the MCC. There is a private sector, the bank. GT Bank is also involved because GT Bank is the one that is controlling the money.
Financing.
So they go and see your facility. Go on the days where you have a roving office. You have your office in your car. You want to do business, you go Broad Street. No, the people want to see your physical structure.
That's good.
And the money they are giving is not to pay your staff. It's not to build your office. The money is actually there to provide you with logistics, those equipment that is needed to do your waste activities. So they give you a year or 2 years to pay the money, depending on how much you took. So when you pay the money back, that money is now given to another company. So it's revolving. As you take, you put back, you expand. Okay, so that process has been ongoing for 2 years now. That's for the CDE side, community-based enterprise. For the SME side,
don't people take advantage of it?
for the SME side, we call small medium enterprise. The guys who deal with the BB trucks,
Okay.
or HISA, Green Cities, City or NC
Way
Senators.
back sanitation,
Yeah.
police academy.
Yes, those guys are the guys that got trucks. So they are getting loan from the bank. The World Bank giving you loan.
Wow.
If you notice, the World Bank bought PCC and NCC a lot of equipment to use. So we just need the awareness. We need people to commit themselves to the system. It will work. But nobody wants to pay.
Okay, as we're discussing right now, I just received text message from another person who was watching. She wants to know. She's naming 30 things here. She actually has more than 30, right? But she said she asked a question and she also followed up with an answer. So
Okay.
I'm going to read the question and ask you what's your view about it, whether she's right or she's wrong. All right. The question is what you can do about air pollution. What you can do about air pollution. And some of the answers she gives, she says she's an environmental student. She's saying that drive your car less, keep your car in good repair, turn off your engine. I'm confused.
Car is not the only thing that is contributing to global warming. You have other things. You have open burning. You have factories. You have people doing businesses. It's not the only thing that is contributing.
Okay.
So most countries have what we call policies in place. You remember a few years back that people banned public smoking?
Yeah, that's true.
One of the
I saw
earlier
a white
government,
guy
Yeah.
being
the
arrested for that.
government banned public smoking.
Yeah.
But look around you now.
Shisha.
All of the entertainment places got shisha.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the big boys smoking cigar. So you smoking cigar the other night.
For real, I don't smoke.
So you see, so when you have the policy, you need to follow through with the policies.
Okay.
Other countries are doing it. We too can do same.
Yeah.
Okay, we can limit some of these things. If I'm the Ministry of Commerce right now, I'll put serious money on tariff on alcohol
And cigarette.
and cigarettes. Government will generate a lot of money. When you go to the states, got buildings, offices, for instance, they got a smoke room. And smoking is your hobby. You want to take a break to smoke, you go to the smoke room.
Yeah.
You smoke?
That's true.
You leave from there, you go back to your office. That room is built to contain smoke or to purify the smoke at the end of the day.
Have room to purify the smoke. I want to hold you right there. I think things she getting in real active gear to talk about this because you have motivated her. She's already talking about this environmental pollution management.
Yeah, I want to know when it comes to the drainages, because right now a lot of people are making mistakes, and the government is watching them make those mistakes. People are building on the drainages.
So that's the work of the Ministry of Public Works. The Ministry of Public Works and the MCC.
Okay.
So MCC deal with what we call city ordinance. They have the city ordinance law, right? They have alleyways. You're not supposed to build in the alleyway. You're not supposed to use it either way for whatsoever. That falls on the purview of the Ministry of Public Works and the city government.
Okay. So EPA has like nothing.
EPA will work along with them.
Okay.
So the sector actors.
If EPA is working along with them, what is EPA role in that direction?
Okay, so there are a lot of constructions that are going around.
Yeah.
I will give you a classical example. The Total gas station at Boulevard intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Total gas station. That area was a floodplain. When we say floodplain, when it rained,
Call it swamp water.
all the water, there where they pass.
That's true.
So over the years, that place used to be flooded. That we call floodplain. Used to be flooded. So Total saw that place as an ideal area to build a gas station. So what did Total do at the time? Total wrote the Ministry of Public Works and also wrote the EPA asking for an environmental permit. Now, after they wrote, the EPA told them to hire a consultant that will do an environmental study to study the environment and come up with ideas and ways to mitigate or manage whatever problem that may occur. At the time or prior to that, the funding that the Ministry of Public Works had on that road was very small. So that was the reason why that place was always flooded. So Total hired her consultant, they did a marvelous work and they came up with what we call environmental management plan. And the gas station was constructed there. So the concrete that was placed there, it was recommended by the EPA and the Ministry of Public Works. Okay, so there is a partnership when it comes to construction. The EPA and the Ministry of Public work hand in hand. The EPA is there for environmental issues, whereas public work is there for engineering issues, construction. So anywhere you see there's a massive development ongoing, there is also an environmental component that that company must fulfill. So if you went to some area, you see home by the order of EPA. So if you see home by the order of EPA, that means that building that is being constructed did not meet the approval of EPA. So they pull hot. So you now go to the EPA, you hire a consultant, they do your environmental study. The study is presented to the EPA. The EPA now reviews that environmental management plan, and if it falls in line with our rules and our regulations, we go and remove the hot order, you pay for your environmental permit, you carry your construction, and EPA monitors. So that's how the EPA and the Ministry of Public Works work. In fact, all ministry and agency work along with the public work. Commerce Ministry work with the EPA. We have the issue of expired food and we want to dispose of. The EPA will tell you the best way how to dispose of it. The Ministry of Health and the EPA work together. You know, they have the issue of incinerators, burning. You have biomedical waste. All of those things, the ministry and the EPA will work together.
So when someone is bringing in like the food or drinks, let's say for example beer.
So no,
beer.
so if you import beer, EPA has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So that has to do with the Ministry of Commerce and LRA.
So
they are responsible, yeah. Okay. So at Commerce Ministry they have a standard lab.
Okay.
Now when the product is expired or when you are importing chemicals into Liberia, you need to notify the EPA. Because there are some chemicals that need to be monitored and managed. Okay. So when you bring in chemicals without our consent, they will fine you. And that fine will go to government coffers until you do the right thing. So almost all of the ministries and agencies work along with the EPA.
I think if I wanted to go back to school, I would have come to sit on your lecture series. Having you in studio today was very educative. I wish we have more time to call you back in studio at your will. We'll call upon you. We will be happy to accept you. Thanks. Any parting comment?
I would just like to say thank you to him. It was really educative and I really enjoyed the time.
It was a pleasure.
Your parting comment, please.
Well, it was a pleasure having me on your show. You are interested into waste management, so I guess you can hire my consultancy firm.
Oh my God.
We have grants in environmental management and safety consultancy.
Okay.
We are involved into environmental issues as well as health and safety issues.
Okay.
So we are ready for business, and we look forward to being a part of your show whenever you call.
He
Thank
gave
you.
you, he gave you an open invitation that you can come for
And I'm
help.
actually going to use
But
it.
it's not free.
It's not free. Nothing is free. Anyway, by the way, if you just joining us, we sorry this is all what we have time for. This is a Bit by Bit show. Having with us in studio today was Mr. Abayomi Gramps Senior. His conversation with us in studio today was very educative. Keep watching Boss TV, especially when it comes to the Bit by Bit show. I want to give a special thanks to our entire crew, the cameraman, and so on. Thank you. Keep watching Boss TV.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit
bit
by
by
bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit
bit
by
by
bit.
Bit by bit.
Oh yes, it's bit by bit.
It is a professional discussion that talks about issues, happenings that improves or strengthens the capabilities of
Individuals such as the engineers, the doctors, the Zogos, the Zogis, and our youth in our community.
institutions like the educational sector, the health sector, and the economy as a whole.
The society, agriculture, travel, and the industrial society.
Human rights and democracy.
Trust me, it's
Bit
bit
by
by
bit.
it.